Welcome back to the Heroes Table. Today we're talking with Christopher of Spike Durian.
So thank you to Pizza Express for hosting us here, for allowing us to use this space. And oh, look, here comes the lemonade. Bring it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell you a little bit that my family actually goes to Pizza Express and they love this particular dough ball. So
okay.
that is really something that it's a must have, and I really like. Yes, the producer just gives us the dough. Not at all, but it is something that if you really just want to feel happy, I'm a person who loves a lot of flour, and I'm a totally gluten lover. So if you ever want to take that, it will make you feel like you're in dreamland and you're back in the UK. Yeah. So
Imagination. You're in an elevator. You get a 1-minute pitch. Go ahead. Who is Chris? What is Chris?
Oh my goodness. First of all, thank you for having me here on your podcast. I'm really honored and nice sharing a pizza with you. Okay, maybe a little bit about me. Chris here, I have quite a very colorful career in my life. I was a serial entrepreneur before. I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and things became a little bit crazy. I decided to be a venture capitalist to kind of, hang out with more startup founders. And finally, I think it's coming back to full circle. I've decided I want to become an entrepreneur again.
Okay.
And to have more fun again. I think that's something I want to do.
So what is it about being an entrepreneur that actually, is it in your DNA, or is it something that you love doing and you keep going back to?
That's a really good question. I think there's about two factors at play. Yes, definitely, being born in the family of entrepreneur. I'm third generation, and I get to hear a lot of stories about my father and my grandfather and all the different things that they did, all the little crazy things they did just to make money. And I think that being in that environment got me excited. And it also helped because, about a period of time in Singapore, there was a lot of startup activity. There was a lot of excitement. And it wasn't just Singaporeans. You had people from across the world coming together and, infusing with different ideas. So it was really kind of fun. I guess for me, I just didn't want to have a 9 to 5. That's not for me.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was really nice that it's just like these casual conversations and people were trying to pitch you their ideas. They were trying to tell you what they're up to. And you realize that, hey, there's actually quite a lot of exciting things that you could do to really change the world.
Yeah.
So I think if you ask me, that is maybe what got me excited to just even do entrepreneurship. And I would say that one thing led to another. I was in my very first career, if I call it, I was actually an entrepreneur. And I went away. I left Singapore. I went over to Malaysia and I worked there for about 8 years to do a startup over there. Those are the times it's just e-commerce. You call it the Amazon of Malaysia, if you want to call it.
I see.
We sold books. We sold beauty product. And what we did was kind of shipping arbitrage. And it was really funny. Instead of shipping things directly to Malaysia, it was actually more costly. It was cheaper to send it through Singapore, repack it, and resend it out to Malaysia. Yeah. And people were telling me, like, isn't Singapore expensive, right? And the other exciting time was that in Malaysia, many years ago, credit cards in Malaysia could not be used in Amazon in the US. So a lot of the people were very excited. The Malaysians told us, like, thank goodness you're around. We can now give you the money. Can you please give us our books and our beauty product? So this was the time before all the big e-commerce players, you have your Shopees and Lazadas now. And it was way beyond all that time. And you really actually get to have quite a lot of fun knowing the different nationalities as customers, how the kind of interactions that you get with them. In Malaysia, when you bring a box of books to them, it's a brown box with just the name of the company itself. They will send you an email and they will say, this is so lovely. Thank you so much, for giving us this parcel. I just want to tell you it's arrived. The Singaporeans, unfortunately, have very high expectations. When you send them, they will say that, why is your box in the brown box? And the second thing is like, why is it so slow? And why are you taking so long to give it to me? And it's about measuring different expectations. And this is just one of the learning lessons. And in fact, now when I'm doing our new startup at this current standpoint, we're starting to experience, the importance of customer interaction and expectations.
Yes.
So this is something that is kind of fun.
I see. And depending on the customer too, because it's going to be very different. Somebody getting books from you, as opposed to maybe getting durians now.
Yeah. So maybe to even explain, durians was it's something that I have been eating for many years, and I thought I knew durian. And the funny thing now is that we are more or less able to identify two very big segments of customers, and we have found that the younger generation, anybody who is 40 and below, loves sweet flavors. The elderly folk like myself, they prefer the bitter flavors. They prefer more complex. Maybe it's because they have ate a lot of durian. So one of the funny things is that there is this term called 吃苦, which means eat bitter. In Mandarin, it means that you live a very kind of a painful life, a very hard life. And so we always associate that if you are actually having a hard life, you tend to love bitter food. So we were like, asking ourselves, that's why, the preference for the elderly, which they did go through a developing stage of the economy at that time. There was a lot of hardship.
Yeah.
And I think the preference was more for the bitter stuff. But when you talk about the younger generation, they enjoyed the fruits of the labor of the previous generation and a lot of sweet stuff. When I give stuff to my kids, everything is sweet, sweet, sweet. Yeah. But, when I try to give them anything that's sour or bitter, not going to get anywhere with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Personally, for me, I like the bitter ones because I feel that there's a complexity in the taste.
Oh, nice.
But sweet ones, if you put in the freezer, everybody tells me to do that because it's like ice cream. If you think about it in that way. But one thing that I did learn from you was that your wife had actually been craving durians during her pregnancy, right? And that was somewhat foundational to you starting this 14-year journey, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be more than happy to share and allow me to do a little bit of correction. It wasn't my wife who had the pregnancy craving. It was me who had the pregnancy craving. So my wife was very stable. She was very happy. I was the one who was feeling very emotional. I was having like revelations of my 1980s days, of mumbo jumbo music. And so it was kind of a feeling that I just wanted something, and there was durian. And there was a time where it was in the period of February to May where durian is not available. It was a desperation mode for me, and I do not know why. I felt that every time I wake up, I could smell the durian. So I went crazy. I drove all around town searching for durian, and no way I could find it. And I finally found this place where they sold durian cakes. It's a mixture with vanilla, and I didn't even know how much durian was in there. And I told myself, hey, let me just try it and get it. And it was so frozen. And I was like, okay, I can't wait to eat it. And I took half. And somehow I felt very sudden and my mood swing went worse. And my wife said that, this is the second trimester. We're kind of supposed to be steady, but you are really ready to be like so emotional. You're having a breakdown. So I think that was the kind of emotions I was going through. In my generation, we had this term called snag. Do you have that one?
Snag, we do, yeah.
Yes. So I'm not sure whether the next generation heard of them, but sensitive new age guy. And that was how I was feeling at that point. And I think that really got me thinking, what if I could just get durian all year round? And there has been options, of course. People told me, why don't you just buy and freeze them? But the challenge is that when you freeze them and then you take them out, there is a lot of ice around it. And that already is a very big issue. And then when you want to try to taste it, you're actually tasting ice more than the durian. And there isn't really much of a smell. The whole experience of taking durian is not just looking at it, the peel of the lobes, the visual. You got to also, take it out, smell it before you consume it and taste it.
Absolutely. So I would say that that is the seed. That is the one that started to grow the tree initially.
Indeed.
Okay. It was this moment where you maybe felt like I need durians, but you
Yeah.
couldn't even find. And
Yeah.
so it planted in your brain. What was the next thing
Yeah.
in terms of that for you? And like what were you doing at the time, work wise even?
So I was actually a startup incubator. I was appointed by the Singapore government to be an incubator where we were allowed to give out government grants up to $250,000
Mm,
for any technological solution and innovation. And we want to kind of back them and support them.
mm,
So I think that at that point in time, I started talking to some of the founders and I said, can we kind of like freeze durians, or can we store durians or cryostasis them or some way to make it anytime I can get it? And I think that was in the period of 2011. So deep technologies haven't developed to that kind of extent. And so from time to time when I'm talking to different startup founders who are involved in food technology, I will just ask them about it. But people says, well, the traditional blast freezing is what is currently available. There's not much we can do about it. Then soon after, there was this sudden a wave of I call deep technologies that arrived in Singapore, maybe around 2016 to about 2019, just before COVID.
okay.
There was this whole wave of companies arriving because the Singapore government started to promote this whole ideology of 30 by 30. 30% of uh, production of food has to be produced in Singapore by 2030. So a lot of technologies arrived into Singapore, and a lot of it was like your alternative proteins. Those were the biggest of them all. You know, there was also plant-based and everything. Those were fantastic, to be very honest. But nobody could replicate the complexity of a durian. So when I told them, can you like plant-based a durian for me? And they said,
This plant-based already, though.
so they said 2 decades, 3 decades away, we might do something. So and I said, that sucks. And I think that continued all the way until recently in 2023, where I'm being a venture capitalist. We managed to invest into a particular company that does blast freezing, and that company is AgriFreeze. So
Yeah,
a little bit more about this company. For AgriFreeze, I kind of met them about 2 to 3 years ago. They came out with this whole idea of cold chain technology, where they said that currently traditional blast freezing, ice crystals are very sharp and they're very big molecules. And that is what causes the drop in the quality, taste, the texture. Every time when you freeze an item, you know, every time you take out a frozen steak, there is something that's just off. It doesn't feel fresh to you. And it's because of these very sharp crystals. And these sharp crystals start to poke on the delicate structure of all the food. Like, for example, you freeze pizza today and it's poking everything here. So a lot of the good quality juices and all the ingredients start to seep out. So when you defrost that, all that good quality disappears. And for durian, that is a very big issue because ice is just poking and destroying all the essence of it. So what AgriFreeze does is they use electromagnetic EMF waves for short. And basically what they do is that they change the ice crystals to very small little ice crystals. So like little balls. So all you're seeing now, the ice is like, think of a little bubble bath on it. And it's just keeping it cold, but they have deep freeze the whole thing, but it's just little balls that are not damaging the cellular structure. So I hope I'm not too technical about that. So it's just a very delicate way of icing up or freezing the food product itself. So when you defrost it, when the ice disappeared, you're back to having good as fresh, or we call it fresh lock products. And I think the fresh lock durian is something that is great. I must admit, in the last 4 5 months, it was very tiring. We had to eat durian after durian and trying to determine the taste. And then we had to actually look at the program itself. The program need a lot of refinements.
Okay.
And sad to tell you this is that my sugar levels have gone up so much. And I have to learn how to reduce my other food intake if I want to have a lot of more of my durian. Yeah.
No, but that's interesting. And so, okay. When did you first find out about the AgriFreeze then?
Yeah. So it was very interesting because I was mentioning to you, I've been in the venture capital space for almost 11 years now.
Yeah.
And we are getting a lot of companies that knew us, and they found that we were not too interested in your FMCG kind of related businesses, the e-commerce. We found that that kind of evolution was starting to go downwards, and deep technologies was coming out. And I was actually introduced. These are Europeans, and they told us that they were very interested to come to Singapore. And they said that they really like this whole environment that Singapore has done, a conducive space for startups to do all the deep technologies, trying it out. And they said, look, this is food. And they have heard about Singapore being a food capital with all the different food. And they said, this will be very useful for having our technology out here. So when I first met up with the scientists, I was like, in a very Singlish term, I will ask them, like, you sure or not? And they were a bit stunned. The Europeans looked at me and was like, what do you mean by that? And I was like, this is unbelievable that you are able to get very fresh food, fresh lot, because straight away my mind was thinking about it. It was like, hey, I can get a lot of seasonal food. We started actually with seafood, and they told me, would you like to sell uni, which is urchins?
Oh,
And I was like, I don't really particularly like that taste, but I was thinking in the back of my mind, there was another food item that I really wanted, and that was durian. And after a while, it just struck upon me when I was thinking about this technology. They tried so many different dish items, and I told them, can you try durian for me? And in fact, they took about 18 months to perfect the program, to make sure that this is when it's fresh law, and when it comes out, the ice crystals just fall off by themselves. Because it does take a lot of food chemistry behind it to really understand what are the texture and taste, what kind of ingredients they have inside it, so that they can actually perfect the ice crystallization over it. Yeah, so it's very interesting. And they were saying that, durian has a lot of fat. And I'm like, no way. It doesn't look fat at all. It looks delicious. And it's like, exactly. That's where you get your taste from. So, and I was like saying, well, it's fine with me. I'm very happy. I just want to live in my dreamland that I'm going to get durian any time of the year. Yeah, and for the record, no, I do not, me and my wife do not have any more children after 14 years. Yeah, we are very happy with 3 children. And no, we're not, I don't want to go through another round of sympathetic pregnancy craving.
pregnancy.
Yeah. I guess one of the exciting things as well for durians, a lot of very good memories. Every time we had durians, it's always with family and friends gathering. But the family is the big one first. All the relatives comes together. Everyone starts picking up. The very traditional way was the original durian husk. Everyone will peel it open and start eating off from the durian with finger. But now I think Singaporeans have evolved to more hygiene practices. So we are now doing it in boxes, and I actually eat my durian with a spoon. So a lot of people were like, sacrilege. What are you doing when you're eating it with
That's
a
what I'm
spoon?
wondering too. What are you doing? What are you doing?
So I guess for me, it was just a hygiene factor. But, my younger generation of my cousins and their kids, everyone's like starting to use the spoon. And so it gives a lot of very great memories. And one of the funny things is that I previously had a dog. It's a West Highland Terrier. His name is Spike. And that is why you're having the name Spike Durian. It's actually named after my dog.
Oh,
And every time when we eat, we will hear his feet shuffling, coming towards me. And then it's like, he will always look at me and sniff, 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 and thinking that I will give him a durian, which I said, no way, it's very bad for your health. But I've understood that apparently now the new generation of pet lovers do share their durians with their dogs. And I was like, wow, I wish I could do that with my dog previously. And I guess it's just all that kind of very nice emotional feelings behind that.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and right now, when recently I also attended a friends gathering, and we went out for these parties, and I was very surprised. They really like the durians, and they told me they prefer the sweeter one, and they told me is that sometimes they highlight of the meal, because that's when the durians are put together, and because the box is kind of small, a lot of people have to come together and they have to start making conversations, and they start holding their durian and they just start talking to each other. And I think that to me is something that I feel that has been kind of missing. And especially now when you look at culturally in Singapore, dining out is considered a luxury to us now, but we still want gatherings. We still want a community to come around. And I guess that's something that I was telling myself. I do believe that gatherings at homes is getting to be a very big commonplace. And I just want to make that somewhat like a highlight and make people feel happy and high. And as like the producer was just saying, aphrodisiac. Yeah, I just want to make sure that everyone has that great feeling. And parties have changed, in my opinion. There's always their pets, and these parents will bring all their different cats and dogs. So, and I think that having the durian as well gives that whole lovely feeling of closeness and kind of brings things together. And I think that's what I was trying to achieve. One of the very funny things as well, one of my customers, she's a lady and closing into her 70s, and she was just sharing with me it's very, very difficult to kind of like bring her children and grandchildren come and visit her. But surprisingly, when she told me that she took a picture and sent it over through WhatsApp, her family, her kids and her grandkids like, oh, we like the logo, and it's like, wow, what's that? And then there's like durian. It's like, why is it packed that way? And they kind of visited her and they enjoyed their meal. And she said that it was a really good kind of new element or new introduction to her dinners. So I thought that was really, really nice. So if I were to explain, the traditional way of buying durian is going to your traditional durian sellers, and it's usually in an open air area and it is in a shop lot. And usually there will be a line of people. Everyone's very flustered. Everyone's really hot. And the durian seller is waving a cleaver and he's asking, what do you want? And I'm not sure how other people feel, but I'm feeling really, really stressed out. Yeah. And it's like this, it's like, what do you want? And my Mandarin is really not good at all. And the Chinese word for bitter is cool. And I keep saying it as cool, which means I want bone. And then the person looks at me, it's like, there is no bone in durian. And I'm like, I'm so flustered. And when I say I wanted bitter, we're having a chicken and duck talk. And then after a while, he just said, you want most expensive? I get you most expensive. And then he goes around, he brings me 6 durian. And I somehow had to end up buying it because he has already opened them. And after that, they will put it in a packaging and they will seal it. And it ends up in a red plastic bag. So that really makes me feel a little bit of a turn off because I'm paying kind of a premium price for this durian. And I would expect to have it in a very nice presentation, but it's always been in this style. It is a very, I will call the more traditional way of doing it. But I believe now the new generation, new culture of Singapore, we are really a melting pot of different types of food, and packaging does comes in as part of the experience itself. And I find it that also we are not giving the opportunity to non-Mandarin speaking customers like myself. I find it is really very painful. I really love durian. And the struggle that I get is that when I bring it home to a whole group of family members, I do not know whether I bought the right thing. I told them it's really expensive. I paid $300 for 6 durians, and people are like, okay, that means it must be really good. But when they start tasting it, they were like, what is wrong with this? And I guess that was really spoiling the whole experience behind it. And so it was just something that what really kind of triggered me at the same time. While I was trying to solve my craving of durian, I was going to more lavish parties. I realized that more and more Singaporean hosts are becoming more skilled in their culinary expertise. The presentation that they do was just so beautiful. And suddenly you see at the corner a red plastic bag with 3 styrofoam boxes of durian. It was just so out of place. And I just felt that that's something that we just wanted to do, really bring up the real premium value of durians. And at the last few months, I've been driving up and down to Malaysia, off across multiple plantations in durian, and I did not realize there were very distinct differences in the kind of durians that you can get. And always, a lot of durian sellers will say, "Oh, ours is the best. We have the most bitter," and then. And I say, is this from Malaysia? Yes. Is this from Pahang? Yes. And then, whatever I say, they will just nod their head. And then I'll be like, are you really certain of what you're selling? And it took me actually quite a very big journey. It took us about 6 months. It started in May, where the durian season was on. We were testing and trialing out different durians, and we were learning so much from so many different farmers. And we realized there's not even a standard way of explaining durian because it's a very delicate fruit. It has very, very complex ways of growing the durians, and durian trees are very sensitive in what they want.
So you did the process with the AgriFreeze and the
Yeah.
scientist, and you got it kind of down pat where it was like, okay,
Yeah.
we can do this with durian. Were there any complications with using the technology that you had to work with?
So what we did first was we went to very reputable durian sellers in July, and we started buying all these durians. We just wanted to try out the agri-freezing process itself, and that took 12 months. That means we actually took the durians, we tried it, we tested it. It's every year in Malaysia, there are 2 durian seasons. It took us 3 durian seasons, 18 months to kind of test and retest until we were certain. Now that we have got that process perfected, that was where we started to ask ourselves, now where exactly did these durians come from? And it was a kind of a very random way of searching. It was calling friends in Malaysia. Do you know durian plantations? We couldn't find the durian suppliers at all. And we actually had to go and visit different people. And there were some durian farmers that were just all out when they say that, oh gosh, you're from Singapore. We are going to make sure that we try and sell you whatever. And those weren't really so honest. And it was really nice that we finally met up with a few of them. We are getting quite a few of suppliers now at this moment. And we decided to just pick on specifically Pahang durians, which are actually the original guys that started all the durian plantations. They are also the best place to kind of cultivate durians because they are the highest peak in Malaysia. That is where the durians thrive very well. And they are also very old. They are about 15 to 30 years old. The older the durians are, the more dense and complex the durians will become. And when you're in the highlands, the rain doesn't come and wash all the nutrients away. So it is much higher. They are able to absorb things better. So that was a kind of the next QC that we had to do. And then we thought that, okay, done and dusted. We have actually got the durians. It's great. Then came to what exactly were we selling? Were we selling full durians or were we selling durians in a box? And even simple things like the type of box that we could get, because we saw all the different boxes that traditional durian sellers sell. That is fine and dandy because they don't blast freeze those boxes. So we had to go and research. And I think it took us about 10 rounds before we finally found the ideal box that doesn't crack under blast freezing. So we had to blast freeze, take it out, and it's broken. And then when it's too thick, the durians are not being blast frozen in the right way. So there was a lot of very delicate processing, optimization, and yeah, in just 2 weeks alone, I think we have thrown out about 600 boxes of durians so far. And it was so terrible was because it was non-negotiable. The first one was basically the farmer came and wanted to deliver to our warehouse, and we forgot there was a holiday in Malaysia. And because it was a holiday in Malaysia, the durian farmer in his good heartedness brought it back to his farm and he froze them in the traditional way. So he destroyed the entire stock. And we told him, I'm so sorry. Can you please go ahead and sell it to somebody else? We'll pay for the losses, but we cannot accept those durians because that is already no longer premium to us, right? So that was so painful. And there was another batch that came, and we looked at it. It looks beautiful, and we were saying, "This is great." And but one of our founders is very particular about quality. He said, "No, every time when we bring in a batch, take out one box, and we are going to try it." And we were a bit astounded. There was something very wrong with the fruit, and We opened another 30 boxes and we found the fruit was just not acceptable, and we threw out and we returned actually another 300 boxes of durian. This was actually quite shock to me because I always had this impression that durian is a commodity. There's a standardization in the way it's grown, shouldn't have any problem. But there are a lot of little nuances that we didn't realize. And to be very honest with you, we're still learning so much. There is also this whole complexity of subjectiveness. I'm very glad to say that we have sold quite a number of orders so far. And we found that about 80% said durians are great. But there are others that will say that, no, your durian is not as bitter as what it is. And we're like, oh my goodness, how more bitter do you want it to be? And whether do we want it to target that particular group? Because if we have too many bitter and that's not in demand, then we're stuck with a lot of bitter durian. And that was one learning lesson. I think as an entrepreneur, I have advised over 2,000 startups one-to-one. I sit them down for an hour's coffee, I advise them, and I thought that I have already learned a lot. I have 25 years of entrepreneurial experience, and I'm very surprised I'm still learning new things. And simple things that to deliver to our customers freshly defrosted durian, there are so many little nuances to make sure that the durian comes in a very good way to our customers. And we had to refine it really fast in the first 10 days. We realized there were a lot of really small little things that we didn't do. And even simple things like putting on a little note there, please put the durians in the fridge once you receive it. And we told them, please do not refreeze it, because we had about 3 customers that said, this is frozen. They went to refreeze it. So there were a lot of little simple things that we thought that it was very straightforward, and we realized we really need to pick up on this. A lot of people were also asking us, Chris, you are a venture capitalist, you have a reputation to keep. Isn't it weird that you're going out there driving around delivering parcels? And I said, that's exactly what I must do. And, this is actually something that I picked up from the Malaysian entrepreneurs compared to the Singapore entrepreneurs that I have been working with. Singapore entrepreneurs have this assumption that because we're in a very well-run, efficient society, whatever they execute should be efficient. But they don't really go to the ground. When I went to meet my Malaysian counterparts there, one of them that runs the cold chain warehouse for us and delivers our durians to Singapore, he drove the truck himself for the very first time. And he did it because he said, then I know the entire process and I can teach my people about it. I don't want my people to learn it first. I should learn it. And you'll be really amazed by the level of personalization that they have. I told them, I said, bro, I know you're busy. You have about 100 customers. Please don't worry about me. I can always talk to your second in command and so on forth. They told me, no, you come to me, you just send me a message. I will reply you, and within 24 hours, I'll get back to you. And they want to make sure that their friendship is always there. And it's so personalized. And I realized that is something that I wish that I taught my Singapore entrepreneurs more. When I was advising them, when you go to your customers, big or small, they are saying something very valuable to you that you need.
I like, especially the last part you're talking about, because how do you actually know things are going to run smoothly unless you do it yourself? And a lot of times I think we get a little bit detached from the whole entire process. And if one thing I could teach my son, especially if he wants to be an entrepreneur, is that you have to start at the bottom, actually learn it and understand it. And then you will be ahead of so many other people who just want to throw money at it.
It is, you're right. And especially in a very competitive market in Singapore, expectations are really high, and it's something that I discovered. I always thought that people would be more forgiving. They would be like, okay, I like the way that my durians are done, but even simple things like they said that your packaging was too tight. We couldn't pull it off. So I was like, and I was looking at that particular customer. That particular customer had really big biceps. And I was like, wow, my packaging really has defeated someone who was so strong. But it was like saying that your packaging was beautiful. It really has this whole class, but it also raised my expectations that your durian is going to make me superly happy. And I was like, wow, that was a very high expectation. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I definitely want to meet that. And the challenge that I have is durian is a natural fruit. We can't taste every item. It's not a manufacturing process that we can perfect. You've got to just depend on Mother Nature. What kind of the quality that will come out from it.
This is
Yeah.
not impossible, Darren.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
like
not. Yeah, it's possible in the way that we can try our best, and even the farmers told us that it's a 70% success rate in their opinion of whether they think a durian is good or not. They can't even guarantee. But what we have actually come back to our customers is we just told them, hey, don't worry about it. We got a replacement policy. If there is something is wrong, take a picture, let us know. And actually, we haven't got a single person telling us about it, but we still wanted to just upkeep a particular standard. There was a customer that just told me recently that her durians was a little bit wet, too wet. And I just said, no questions asked, I just want to give you a replacement. And she told me this was really something very different for her. And she felt very assured to just keep buying after that. And I realized that is another dimension or dynamics of what expectations mean. You know, I think Singaporeans don't want to feel cheated in that way. They're buying an experience. They're not just buying a product. And they just don't want to have a bad aftertaste behind it. So this is something I'm starting to learn and understand it. And actually, once you build that, they will give a lot of very interesting comments like, the seeds are too big and your packaging wasn't as triangular as possible. I do not know what that meant, but they still buy. but it's just all these little interesting touch points. And for me, I guess as an entrepreneur, it's really coming full circle to feel all that fun and I never get to do a B2C company for the longest time. And actually Spike Durian is a small piece of a larger puzzle that is actually going to be coming up. And so I'm really kind of excited that this is the only B2C engagement I'm going to do. And eventually we're going to start doing it at a larger scale, but it's fun because B2B tends to be a little bit different in the dynamics when you try to engage your customers. But B2C is always fun because people are more direct and it's very fast for you to get involved in things. I guess I still am a marketing branding person. I like to see all the different ways of packaging and it was fun. It was fun to just kind of explore and play with that. And yeah.
It sounds like you're having a good time, and I think that is one of the biggest things and best things is if you're enjoying yourself with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because yes, there's going to be bumps along the road, but you're not going to take them so personally.
Yeah.
And I think too, you've always got to take what people say with a grain of salt. Like
big grain of salt. That's what people told me.
Yes.
Yes. And I would also just wanted to share this a little bit of the entrepreneurial journey for me and my established state. A lot of people are saying that, hey, you're a man in finance. You are able to actually just do things in finance. You are able to make quick money if you know how to do stuff. And it was a very humbling experience for me where I decided to step away from all of that. And I told myself, let's just do this and really achieve something for myself. And one person did tell me, wow, you're getting away from a prestigious thing to start delivering durians. What on earth is wrong with you? And I feel that you should not allow those voices to come up. I actually had a larger group of people telling me, wow, you're selling durians. Good on you. I think that you're going to be successful. There are people said, I'm proud of you that you're willing to step out into your comfort zone. When you talk about Singaporean culture, failure is a very, very big issue. And a lot of people are kind of embarrassed on failure. And maybe because I advised so many startup founders over the years, I said, it's okay to fail because only then you are able to perfect something. And I guess I wanted to go back into that after advising so many people on that. I was also reading a new article that people are going into what they call blue collar trades, like in construction, in laundry washing and all that. And I'm saying that, hey, those are the profitable businesses because no one wants to get involved in them. And people told me, aren't you feeling very hot and sweaty every time when you had to deal with a durian? I say it's a matter of perspective. If you are just packing it, I feel very satisfying just mindlessly wrapping all the durian boxes with the sleeve and always telling myself, hey, this will end up on somebody's table and they're going to have a happy experience with it. And I think that is just something that I'm trying to encourage entrepreneurs that I speak to. And there is actually nothing to be ashamed about. And whatever you try, it's just all about trying and having fun at it while you're at it. Even if you're just selling a very simple product. If people understand it, people understand your value proposition, I say, there you go. You're going to get somewhere. And I think that is also a privilege to a lot of Singaporeans now. In this new generation, they have a lot of backing from their parents and they do actually have a comfortable life. All the more, I would like to encourage them to just get out there and just try because they have a longer road of opportunity of failure. And even if when they're 20s, they don't do it right, by 30s, there are opportunities for them to come back to work in a proper job. I think that's fine. Why do I become also a mentor to many other startups? Is I'm a product of 5 mentors in my life. So each mentor were very loving, giving in their ways. They taught me hard skills, soft skills, anywhere from strategy, from accounting, from generosity to even encouragement. And these different elements, I realized actually are very critical when it comes to trying to build a startup. Previously, I love to guest write a lot of startup articles. And one of my articles, I that it takes entire nation to support a startup. And it's not just a small group of people. It takes an entire nation where everybody has to come into play. The customers, the stakeholders, the government, everyone must come in to support them. And I feel that if I could really encourage anybody who's listening out there, it's that every time you want to create something, you got to rally. You got to rally the whole entire community and the nation behind you, in order to get success. And I also want to expand the word success. It's not just financial success that we look at anymore, but it's about you feeling satisfied that you got something different here. For me, I'm just excited that I can now give durian to everybody anytime, and now the excitement that we are getting from some certain customers, friends from UK and Australia have called us and said, when are you sending it over to us? And I was like, wow, that's kind of a exciting thing that we never discovered. And I think that is the fun of entrepreneurship. It's about self-discovery every day. And I found myself being more innovative. I'm trying to be a bit more bold in my ideas. I have a chief marketing officer who is really excited and another co-founder who are much younger than me. And they were been kind of abusing me to do a lot of TikToks. So it's a little shameless plug here. Watch out for my TikToks because you will see this really old man here doing like things that 20-year-olds should be doing, but I'm not. I don't know what am I doing. Yeah. And I still catch no ball. What exactly I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah.
You don't have to catch the ball.
Yeah, okay.
It's okay. Many of us don't.
They don't. Okay. So
We're just going with it.
and when I'm having a conversation with you, I catch this. I understand we're having a talk. We're talking about stuff, but yeah, when I'm asked to do all these very short stuff, I'm still very puzzled. What does it mean by expressing yourself in a very unique way of things? Yeah. So watch my videos and then you be the judge of that. Whether did I make it to be a Gen Z? Yeah.
Okay. So what are the challenges that you've encountered? Anything in particular, like stories that you could share with us?
So I was sharing with you about our packaging. We did about 8 times. We trialed it and we thought, hey, this is great. We put our durians in a bottle and we make sure it's airtight and then followed by a vacuum seal. What we did not realize was that the material that we used for the vacuum seal was not of the highest quality. It was not the one that could withstand blast freezing. So what happened was that our poor guy who brought the durians down, a lot of the vacuum seals broke, and his durian was reeking of durian, and the customer was asking, "What are you bringing here?" It's like vegetables, and he says, "I smell durian." Yes, I also have durian. It's very obvious, and the poor guy was very green. By the time when we saw it, he was like, "Bros, please help us. Make sure that you wrap it up." So that was kind of a funny one.
Yeah.
Another one was that in Singapore, I would say that our government has done a very good job in our public housing of our housing development board. One thing that I really wish that I could request the government to do is that please do not make every block exactly the same. So what happened was there were 12 blocks that looked exactly the same, and the signs were not helpful. And I went walking. I walked apparently from this block 4 rounds until I kept going back to this particular Malay wedding that was happening at that time. And you know, the Malay community are the sweetest people. When they saw me looking so blur, they were like, "Bro, are you okay? Are you lost?" And I told them where it's like, "Oh, we understand now. Come, let us help you." And it was so sweet. I was so grateful because one of the boys kind of walked me through nooks and crannies, and finally I found the lift that I could enter. And that was exactly the block that I needed to go. And I spent another 45 minutes getting lost was because the multi-story car parks were made exactly the same. And then I kind of made a short reel on social media of how much I respected the delivery couriers. It's very painful for them because they have to do easily 100 deliveries a day. I met a particular courier delivery guy. He was pushing a huge cart of so many deliveries, and then he was just pushing from the entire block. This is just for one block. So it's so painful, and it made me appreciate them to the point that every time a delivery person comes by, I pass them a can of soft drink and I said, "Hey, you know it's hot or something. Go and chill out." 'Cause I was really thirsty.
Yeah.
That is some of the things that I picked up, and it made me grateful that sometimes we Singaporeans tend to take a lot of things for granted, and it's just something that I felt, hey, let's treat everyone with kindness and don't go and scold them and shout at them, but um it made me feel a lot more compassionate. I really am very humbled by how complicated it is to deliver simple things. Like for me, it was just a one-off thing that I'm now learning, and frankly, when you become more compassionate in the way that you do things, it makes you a better entrepreneur, and
Mm.
it will naturally enter into your own branding in the way that you personify your product. You know, because if you take effort to make sure that you get good quality durians, for example, the packaging is done, you can see things are different. The experience will be very different when the person receives the durian box itself. Yeah.
So then my question would be, you feel that being a little more sensitive, a little more compassionate
Yeah.
gives you that edge actually, because you're probably going to pick up on things that maybe other people won't. They're
Yeah.
just going to anyhow do.
Yeah. I feel that Singaporeans have expectations, and I've learned the difference of the expectations is not what I perceived it to be. I thought that Singaporeans would be demanding. You know, they only wanted piping hot food, you know, in the most pristine condition. They don't actually. They are really very happy where they can see that there was thought in it. And I can say that they are very discerning. And if they see somebody who comes and delivers them a parcel and the guy is happy and smiling, it does a big difference. And to me, that is the advantage. It's about that compassion. And I can feel that Singapore has gone to be a very compassionate society. And to them, when they see the way people are being treated and the way that the goods and the products that they receive are well handled, they tend to go back to it because to them they resonate with that. They don't want it to be like a very transactional thing anymore. So that's something that I'm learning a lot, and I didn't realize that expectation dynamics have kind of evolved over the years. When I did e-commerce 20 years ago versus now. It's just so different. There is no way that we are ever going to satisfy 100%, right? And we got to be realistic. In fact, I'm actually releasing a report on the feedback that we have got in the statistics. Like we got a good 80%. And is that good enough? A number of people have told me, bro, you are already above average. That is great. Don't worry that 20% is always subjective. You can try. But sometimes you have to ask yourself, are you trying to serve the entire market or are you happy serving a particular segment and doing it right?
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that because I think there are the hard numbers and hard figures that
Yeah.
come in with a business, and you need to have that. But some of the entrepreneurs or business owners that I've spoken to recently will say that you can't just have one or the other. Like
Yeah.
in particular, it can't all be just purely creative.
Yeah.
In certain things, you also have to have those hard skills.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I think businesses get a little skewed toward the hard skills and miss out really and can't figure out why it's not working.
Right.
And if it doesn't have that human element.
Well, so it's a very interesting thing that you shared that in the finance world, I'm currently holding 2 designations. And if you guys want to find out what are those 2 designations, just go on LinkedIn. It's easier. But basically, one is very finance focused, numbers focused, and they are very more targeted towards the intricacies of metrics and numbers. But the other designation that I have is basically one that you're not answerable only to shareholders, you're answerable to stakeholders. And they kind of expanded that whole definition that you want to be a successful company, financially viable company. You got to start adding in all these intangible elements, which they have kind of created very interesting metrics behind it. And I feel that I'm starting to gravitate towards the other kind of school of thought where you cannot just always satisfy shareholders. It's never going to work. Shareholders or customers, you got to also satisfy the elements around it. The other community, your suppliers, even having a great relationship with your supplier is a very big thing. And your partners, and to us, the courier delivery drivers are our partners. So I do see that element. I know it's very subtle. Sometimes people will say that a service is a service, a product is a product, and anyway, you're just selling a good. But it doesn't feel that to me anymore. I find that this whole experience it's taught me so much. And so, if any of your audience will always ask, will they ever should they ever come in to be an entrepreneur? I would say, of course, yes, but with practicality behind it. I do have my own form of advising. I normally look at their financial situation before I give the advice. I don't give broad stroke advice. I'm very scared that if I do that, I may misalign people's objectives, and I don't want that to happen. Yeah,
That's very very wise and very considerate of you.
the reason why was because previously I did make a statement while I was in a venture capital conference and I said something and I can't remember what it was, but someone took it to heart and he went to consistent multiple failures and he didn't want to give up. And he says that, oh, my chance is coming. And I was like, my bad. I'm so sorry that I made that statement. It wasn't targeted to you because he wasn't exactly in a particular condition to be in that frame of mind to go into entrepreneurship.
Sure.
And I wish that if he actually reached out to me earlier, I would have stopped him earlier. And that to me was something that I am very, very careful now and watchful. I mean, I do want to give my nuggets of truth about my learning lessons, but I also wanted to qualify some of the things that I do has to be taken into context. And that's why, in my last 10 years, when I advise 2,000 startup founders, my advice is specifically tailored to them. My style is that I write on a piece of white paper and they will give me their background and then what they're trying to do. And then we brainstorm, we give a bit of explanation and actionables. And everybody's actionables are very vastly different based on the background that they have. So, if people were to ask me, well, should you go for entrepreneurship? I said yes, but I will also qualify that. Do consider the conditions that you are in, the background that you have, and to consider your strengths. And sometimes a lot of people say, oh, I follow this entrepreneur's book. Oh, I want to be Elon Musk. And I'll be like, frankly, as a Singaporean, if you get like $1-2 million in your bank account, that is a very fantastic first start. I don't want them to overthink it to say that I can hit 100 million. Not unless there are certain conditions that they have. Then sure. But a number of them, I always tell them, let's start first small and build upon ourselves from there. Yeah.
That's really, yeah.
Yeah,
That is
not
great
spicy.
advice. No, it's great advice because I think some people give advice haphazardly, like just because it worked for them, they think it
Yeah.
extends to everyone else. And there's
Yeah.
also sometimes this oversight
Mm.
of who are you actually talking to? Like, does this person have the bandwidth
Yeah.
to nurture a project?
Yeah.
You know, they may be able to start it, but
Yeah.
what after that? Or do they actually have the capacity, the social network, whatever
You're
is
right.
needed to extend this thing? And if not, then it is, you're
Yeah.
setting them up for failure. Like they can get there in time, but they're going to have to do some steps before that.
Exactly. In fact, a lot of people say that I get very personable. Well, I kind of ask them like, what's their family background? Do they have the support? Because I need to determine whether the entrepreneurial risk is there. So in finance, we always say that you have the willingness to take risks, but do you have the ability to take risks? So I have to look at that financially. Are they stable? And are they also having any commitments, family commitment? And you want to make sure, like, depending on the kind of level of intensity of the business that they are after, whether they have that bandwidth to commit.
Yeah.
And if they don't, it is very, very irresponsible of me to that entrepreneur and that family by telling that he is able to take all that risk.
Yeah.
So it's really a kind of a optimizing of the kind of advice or the actionables that we can give. And sometimes is also to tell people that maybe this is not the season. Yeah. And we do get not a lot of them, or there's some of them that they just can't let go because they're too passionate about a business and they need someone to tell them line up to cut losses and just to close it and to do it in a very respectful way, and not to go and like tell all your team members goodbye and stop there, but with empathy. So there is a lot of stuff that gets into play into that. Yeah.
Going back to the durians, did you have any particular pushback because you're doing AgriFreeze and like I've eaten frozen durians before.
Yeah.
Okay. They taste like the back of the fridge. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to put it any other way.
Yeah.
That's what they taste like.
Yeah.
And the moment I had yours, I was like, this tastes like fresh deer and it's a bit cold, but that's fine.
Right. So we met AgriFreeze 2 years ago, and it took them up to 2 years to really have a kind of traction. Can't say very much, but at this moment in time, AgriFreeze has massive breakthroughs with 3 or 4 very large customers that I've just heard. Spike Durian is a very tiny little customer now in the whole context of things. And I was really impressed, but it takes a lot of tenacity when you are commercializing deep technologies. It took them 2 years, and it was very hard to convince because for Singapore companies, bottom line is very important. But when you go to Malaysia, the difference is exact opposite. Innovation for them is important because if they stay stagnant, they will lose out in the competition. So they are always very open to the idea. So the interesting thing was it was the Malaysians who taught us that durians and a whole list of new food products that we're going to be launching are viable, and they are willing to partner with us. But when you talk about the Singaporean corporations, it's very challenging. While they say they're innovative, they are very, very constrained for a lot of things.
So any naysayers then?
We did a feedback. 80% said was great. 10% said it was neutral, could be better, it's not as great as fresh durian and all that. And we were like, do we take them for their word? Because 80% told us that it's fine. They don't feel that it was any difference in the taste. So maybe this could be the discerning customers, sure. And there was 10% that was really, really hard on us. They were like telling us, this is never going to happen. I will never buy. And anyway, your price is so high. And we were like, dudes, our price is cheaper than some of the branded ones at this point. We are actually much way lower. And during the off season, we are the only ones available to supply you durian. But so they are very, very obstinate about their ideas. And one of the very interesting things was somebody kept saying that, hey, your durians are not as good as this durian seller A. And we're like, after that, we just said, oh, the supplier is actually the same to your durian seller A. And then that lady kind of went very quiet and she's like, maybe perhaps that it could have been that day I drank my wine. So sometimes you gotta, like you advise, take everything with a pinch of salt. Let's not. Yeah, we should add salt to the durian to get them more flavor.
I wish I
right?
had a salt, the salt lamps.
Yeah.
I wish I had one of those.
Yeah, so I guess is that we also got to acknowledge some people are coming with a certain mindset. And there's not much that we can do about it, right? If they are really adamant that they only want fresh durian, there's nothing we can do. And to me, I'm very satisfied at this moment. We are really, really blessed because I think it's just the festive season. We are very stressed out. There's a lot of durians orders that just came in the last 2 days, and we were like, okay, let's pray that the stocks will survive. We are able to handle it because our next stock run is only in the new year, and we just prepped. And we were forecasting a surge, but we didn't expect the surge to come so fast and so strong. So it's a lot of expectations for us to make sure that the experience is great. But we'll be upfront as well. It is also quite daunting and and I think it's great because they're also trying to teach us how do we handle at higher volumes now. So I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully, this festive season will have a good time.
Good luck during the festive season.
I am not having any parties. I'm going to
You're
deliver
gonna be
to parties.
delivering to parties. So he'll be coming to your parties probably. So in your journey throughout, what do you feel that you've lost, you've gained, you're in the process of acquiring?
Yeah.
It's anything in particular that comes to mind?
Wow. That's a very deep question, but let me try to make it more lighthearted and simple. Let's start with what I lost. This year, I stepped down for a lot of prestigious positions, and suddenly out of the blue, there was a whole group of people that was always chasing me, suddenly just disappeared. Or there was one person's like, oh, you mean you're gone? So you're not much use now. You don't really, you're not able to speak on behalf of the company. So who should I speak to? Can you do an introduction? And there were some that were very subtle. They don't even respond to me anymore when I write back to them. Did I lose a big chunk of that? I think it was a very big revelation to me that there are people out there that just wants to make use of you for you. But the thing that I've gained over the years were I have, as a serial entrepreneur and helping so many startups over the years, failure is a constant for us. And the most beautiful gain that we get out of it is seeing the friends that comes together and gaining new friends, like yourself, John. We really appreciate you even being one of our first champions supporting Spike Durian. And to us, it's so fun. That's something that when you go through entrepreneurship, look forward to gaining new people who want to support you and to love you and to just make sure that you're going to go fine. And actually, the world isn't just all about harsh and nasty people. There are people who genuinely want to see good things happen to you. So, yeah, I just want to end that off on that.
That is a phenomenal answer. And if you have one takeaway, that the story you want Spike Durian to tell, it can even be a sentence, just something that you want to put out into the world.
Always be on a durian high any time of the year now, like me.
Okay,
but watch your sugar level.
Watch your sugar levels.
Yeah.
I'll accept that. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being on this. I think we've gained so much wisdom. A lot of funny stories too. I can only imagine that cargo delivery with all the deer and stuff. But yeah, and I look forward to eating the durian that you gave me.
Yes, cheers to
Thank-
you, and
cheers.
thank you for having me on your podcast. Thank you,
Glad
everybody.
to have you. Thank you.
Right.